Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to take a look at Mido watches. They're owned by Swatch, and when I did a recent review of Certina watches, somebody said, hey, you really ought to look at Mido. And they're sort of like, they're both owned by Swatch. Neither one of them, I think, are that well known in the U.S. About 4 or 5 years ago, a colleague of mine had a Mido that he inherited and wanted to know if it was worth anything. And so I took a look at Midos back then. This, like I said, about 4 or 5 years ago, and they were an inexpensive watch, and they have a history of being that. But there's some interesting watches in Mido now. The Mido Caliber 80 is a self-winding Powermatic, okay, with center seconds, and there are three different types of the under the code CO7 dot something. Those that are dot 1 have a synthetic escapement. Those that are dot 6 have a regular escapement out of metal, and those that are dot 8 have a silicon balance spring, and they tend to be the ones that are chronometer rated. So when we look at this, so to keep these in mind, now there's a lot of other ETA movements that are in some of the other Midos. We'll take a look at a few of those too, but this is a very short introduction, so bear with us on that. There are several different models they have. The Ocean Star and the Commander are a couple models. This particular Ocean Star is a chronograph, and it has an ETA 7753 in it, which is very similar to a 7750, except for certain positions of date and some other things like that. The Commander exemplar, this one's called a Gradient, and the dial itself is somewhat transparent, so you can see the movement. It's just got a caliber 80 in it. The Baron Shelley, this particular Baron Shelley is a COSC. It's a chronometer rated. Basically, it's a Powermatic 80 with the silicon escapement in it, and it's COSC, which means that it's a higher tuned, a higher tuned watch, and guaranteed to give a better performance. The Bell Luna watch also has the caliber 80 that we talked about. This particular one is a Royal Gent. This is a little more elegant models that they have. The next two, one is called the Multifort as a general model. This particular one is a World Traveler. It's got a Mido, what they call a Mido 1193, which is based on an ETA 2893-2. And you got to remember that all of these are owned by Swatch. Mido's owned by Swatch, and Swatch owns ETA, so they can use them all they want. This particular one is called a GMT for $12.50. A pretty good price. The all dial. Now this one is interesting because it doesn't have a Powermatic COSC in it, but it is a chronometer, and so they have some other ETA models that movements that have they simply take them and they put them through the process required for COSC. And this particular one is 1470. Now those are the main models they have, and they have one that's specifically for women called the Rainflower. And the thing I like about this particular one, it's 34 millimeters, got a caliber 80 in it. And by caliber 80, I mean the Mido caliber 80 that we talked about initially. This one is 1160. Now, like I said, when you start looking at something that's around a woman's watch around 34 millimeter, you got a watch you can actually, look at and tell the time, as opposed to these little bitty ones. Now, at the same time that they have a special line only for women, in most of the other models, they also have women models. For example, the Baron Shelley, this one's called Diamonds, and it has some diamonds around the 6 o'clock date. The Belluna has one called the Royal Lady, 33 millimeters. Both of them are 33 millimeters. Now, this particular all dial has an ETA 2678 in it, and it's only about 29.92. It's about 30 millimeters, and that's a little smaller, but still is something you can pretty well get at a glance. Now, a much smaller one is their Commander model. They have one, and it's called the 1959, and it looks like something out of 1959. It's got an ETA 2678 in it, and it's 23.5 millimeters. So this will just sort of give you an idea of what Mido has. One of the things I found out, though, and especially all of the watches are, I don't think any of them is much above 2,000 tops. Most of them are 1,000 or less. But they have a lot of different models, and I only was just provided a small sample of them. But if you're interested in them, take a look at them, and keep in mind the differences in their subtle differences in the movements, some of which are chronometer rated, and of course they're going to be more expensive. But for the most part, they're basically a Powermatic 80, which has got 3 hertz, which I like. And but they have some other 4 hertz ones too. So take a look. Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.